Hello, Cindy Olin here, and I'm back with Level Up Your Love Life and a new guest. We're matching today, which is great. Matching energy, matching smiles, and matching beautiful blouses. Um, Jaki Sabourin with Engaged at Any Age. I love Jacki. You're a returning guest, and it's always fun to have conversations with you and dive into this topic together of love and relationships. And if you guys don't know about Jacki, I am going to share a little bit about her right now. Just a little bio information. She was voted best female relationship expert by her peers, and as a coach, speaker, and CEO of Engaged at Any Age, which I absolutely love your company's name, where you help women consciously create the love and life of their dreams. And Jacki, I can attest to Jacki's wit and no nonsense attitude have led to hundreds of clients meeting their ideal man. And yes, I love it. Love it. So today, let's just dive right in.
Let's do it. Thank you for starters for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful event. I'm always keen on helping others to live a better, bigger life. So yay. And this topic's really fun. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it. At least I hope they will.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about your value.
Yeah.
And for those that, didn't see the email that I sent out, it's, knowing your value, and he will too, which I cannot agree more with that. And, really what is self-worth?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. And this actually works for men and women. And the conversation is the same. Knowing our value and our self-worth, and they're very similar. You can really coin them together, but it's really about your sense of worthiness, how you feel, how deserving you are. And then kind of your life flows from that place. And so I think a lot of people really struggle with feeling deserving, feeling worthy. But as humans, our birthright is to have everything that our heart desires, if we're willing, of course, to do the work for it. But I think a lot of people get tripped up along the way about not feeling, good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling valuable by life's experiences, some, unhappy experiences, some trauma in childhood, and can leave us feeling that we don't deserve. And it just can be furthest from the truth.
Yeah. And so how do we shift that? How do we shift from that energy of not feeling worthy, not, just not feeling like enough, that lack feeling, that lack mentality that I think, I always call it the toilet bowl of just.
Well, I think that what happens is that we learn through society that a lot of people think that their worth is about their net worth, how much they have, their appearance, their job, their standing in the community, how many children they have, where their children went to school, whatever. A lot of people are deriving their sense of worth from those things, from, dependent on achieving. But really, if those things go away, which a lot of times they do in life, and they maybe cycle back in, then we have this identity crisis. And then our self-worth kind of plummets because we feel like we don't have those things, and they define us. Then what is our identity? Who are we? So it's so important to start to begin that process of really being identified by your birthright, just by being a human, by your, knowing that you're a spark of the divine and you deserve all of these things, and disidentifying with all these things in life that can go away, and that can, again, like I said, create an identity crisis. I mean, what I'm doing I'm married now. I've been married for 8 years, but before I was married and went through a divorce, and I had like an identity crisis because I was like, who am I? I'm a divorcee now. And before that, I was a wife. And so I had this role I was playing. When the role left, I really was kind of feel like I fell down the rabbit hole, like, who am I? And I had to really learn this whole lesson about identifying with more about just me, and knowing how deserving I really was, and not latching it on to other external things, which can go away, like I said. So I
Mhm.
think that there's a lot of value in going through hardship, because we do learn a lot in the process. And one of the things that I think, one of the benefits, one of the silver lining, can be that you can learn that you are deserving in spite of these things that can happen in life. And
Yeah.
you have to really claim that.
Yeah. I mean, circumstances can change, as you just shared. And, I was thinking about that as you were sharing. It's like, somebody, identifying themselves in a relationship, and maybe it wasn't the best relationship for
Right.
them, but, even stepping out, there can be a lot of that questioning of,
Yes.
who am I? What am I here for? And, am I really deserving? And so, do you have some steps that maybe you work with women around reclaiming their birthright
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this value?
And so it is a bit of a process to go through that, and I find dating really helps. And that might be sound really like the opposite, like you wouldn't think I would recommend that. But the thing is that relationships provide experiences so that we can get that reflection and help us find our way, kind of find our compass. So dating, actually, and I know things are different right now, but very soon that's all changing.
Yes.
Dating provides the opportunity for you to really, because if you've gone through any hardship and you go out to date, you feel like, well, if you weren't successful in love, or you had a divorce or a bad breakup or whatever, you start to think that it's a reflection on you. And then you feel like you have this low self-worth, self-esteem. You start dating, you don't have any confidence. And so that's just a very obvious sign that you've put so much stock in having those things. And even other people, like, if I'm married, I'll have value, but I don't have value when I'm single. So we really have to start to look at how neurotic that really is, and how untrue, not true at all. So it's really a process of just, falling in love with ourselves, learning to be our authentic self, learning to be genuine, and just really seeing the value. It's like I like to teach authenticity as a dating strategy. Is just
Mhm.
recognizing that the real you is so valuable, so worthy, and that is actually more appealing to anybody. I mean, you've met people that
Absolutely.
are genuine and real, and the thing about people that are genuine and real is that they're trustworthy, because you
Mhm.
trust somebody who's real, because that gives them a personal credibility. So I think it's just the process of really just loving yourself, all those cliches that we say,
Mhm.
loving yourself, accepting yourself, just recognizing. Until you do that, you won't feel worthy, because you're continuing to look at external things to kind of make you feel that way. When people, as we know, come and go in our lives, they can't really hold us as their object of attention 24/7. We need to learn to hold ourselves the object of our own attention,
Mhm.
and give ourselves the emotional dependency needs that only we can meet: the love, acceptance, boundaries, intimacy, etc. And once we start to do those things on a regular basis, we start to fill our own cup. We do start to feel worthy, because we're not dependent on those external things. Men, we're not dependent on them loving me. Like, if you love me, I love me. It's like, I already love me, so if you don't love me, I'll be okay. I
Right.
Because I have me. So it's really about doing that work, that wonderful personal development that
Mhm.
gives you that confidence,
Yeah.
that you're worthy and lovable.
It's like, I work with my clients around similar things, around really creating that safety within, so that you're not, as you shared, not looking for those external factors on the outside to, you know, fill you up. It's, you've already filled up your love cup, and the
Right.
other people that come into your life and you develop relationship with, and dating, I can't agree with you more. Some of some women, when they come to me, they're like, I feel like I need a lot of inner work. And maybe they do. Maybe they, do get to do some of that interpersonal development work, and
Yeah.
they get to date during the process, so that we can, you know so we can support you along the path.
Exactly. Well, because like mastery, learning to really love yourself and feel that self-worth, it happens in the midst of life. It doesn't happen on, up on a mountaintop by yourself. That's renunciation. You have to get into it. And a lot of women are reluctant because they're afraid that, again, they're not worthy, not good enough.
Mhm.
But once you really start to engage in your life, you can quickly have these experiences that will you'll have to step up into that. And the more you step up into knowing your worth, being genuine, being authentic, and accepting you for you 100%, then the more value you start to feel about yourself, the more worthy you feel, and it just grows and it grows and it grows. I really think that's the fastest way. And of course, along the way, you're doing the inner work, you're working through your emotional triggers, you're doing that self-reflection so that you don't go, they did that to me or they made me feel, because no one can make us feel. We feel. And we have to remember, I feel, I thought, I had, I did, I chose. That I language that helps us to take ultimate responsibility for ourselves. Because when we do that, anything's possible, because it's all a matter of choices. Everything that I'm experiencing now, I know is the choices that I made all along the way, and being okay with that. Some of the choices didn't bring me the outcome I wanted, but that's okay. They brought other experiences and lessons, and I can be gentle with myself and then go, okay, I'm going to make a different choice to move me, further down in the right direction. So it's just a matter of continuing to choose, and those choices, when you feel like you're more competent making better choices, then you'll start to feel more confidence. But confidence, it's all about just loving yourself and feeling that worthiness, because we all are deserving of so much.
Yeah, I agree. It's like having that that trust within yourself. I am so worthy. And even saying it, because your brain is going to start to follow what you tell it to.
Right.
So it can be that simple, and it can become a little more complicated as well. What would you find some of the biggest challenges that women have, after they've, gone into this place of that kind of loss, or, they find themselves in a new place in life. Maybe they're suddenly single, and, or this year has really caused them to, question, am I going to be alone? Or am I ever going to get to date and, have the connection that I desire again?
Right. Well, I'm going to say something that it might sound self-serving or serving, but the truth is that we women, we really thrive in community. That's why we're having this speaker series, right? Women, you need to surround yourself with other women. Men don't do community. We do community. And I really think that it's so important to find a mentor, whoever you resonate with, because I have a mentor and I'm mentoring my women, and they need it. They need someone to believe in them. They need someone to give them that reflection, gentle reflection. And so if that's what I recommend. And then also take that journey of commit to your own personal self-development, because you will find your way. You have to make that commitment. As soon as you make the commitment, everything lines up to match your level of commitment. And I think that a lot of women struggle with commitment. As soon as the emotional waters get hot, they want to leave. And you have to be able to stay the course so that you can get the outcome that you want. And so it's really, if you take a big action, then you'll have a big result. If you take a little action, you have little results. So if you're not the type of person that can take big action, having a community, having a mentor, somebody that believes in you, that can be, your eyes and ears on the ground, what's going to really help you propel extra. I'm looking for a word and I lost it.
Are you looking for a word like propel?
Exponentially, it just speeds up the process. I've always been a big advocate for I'm supporting others. And I just think that that's really the most important thing is you don't have to do it alone. You're not alone. There's so much support available. And depending on how focused and committed you are, the sooner you get involved in a group or whatever that you want to achieve, you're going to experience a lot of results because they're going to kind of guide the way for you. So that's really one of my biggest recommendations. But it's just getting on that path to begin with, and just like you said, I love your word, Cindy. Trust that you'll find your way, that you are deserving, but you have to take those first steps, and you have to be courageous and just put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I love what you shared. Just, that being courageous, and, something else really important that Deems repeating is when the emotional waters get tough, a lot of times women don't want to stick the course. They want to go, run and hide. So it's, having that, making that commitment, finding mentors that resonate with you, and a community. I cannot agree more, because then you've got your feet in the fire.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let you, no one's going to let you stop.
Yeah. Or fall.
Yeah.
And etc. Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like, just recognizing too, what are my patterns when things get really tough? What do I do? And, am I committed to changing that? Great. What are the steps that I'm willing to take to do that? And I think, many people, if they don't seek the support, they're really afraid to fail. And and that comes up in dating too. It's like, what you shared earlier about, we trust authentic people, which authenticity isn't perfect. So, and that coupled along with, well, what does that look like? And I think a lot of women struggle with that. Like, well, I want to be well put together and look nice and be nice. And yes, and then there's this level of, are you being you, and who are you?
Right.
And that can, maybe if you want to speak into that.
No, I like that. Who are you? So, one of the great things that I use with my clients is a little tool, and I want to share it with all of you because I know it really helps you. It's a little processing tool. And so, who are you? It's like, good question, right? So it's learning to question your thinking more and more. So there's nothing wrong with any of us. We just have some incorrect thinking. So we have to start to question our thinking and how we can do like maybe you have some fear about dating or fear about relationships or whatever. I'm afraid because. So you use the word because. So I'm afraid because, and you answer that question about 5 times. You can get to the root. You're looking for the root cause. I'm afraid because I gain weight. I'm afraid because I don't feel attractive. I'm afraid because I'll get hurt. Ooh, there it is. It's not really about the weight and that. It's about I'll get hurt. I'll get hurt because I got hurt before. So you can start to do the digging, to do the self-inquiry, self-examination, which is a part of authenticity. It's that intimacy piece. You into me, I see. You need to be able to look within without judging yourself. And so when you use this sentence completion, I feel, and fill in the blanks, whatever. So because I might get hurt, I don't date. So then you can see the consequence. So now you need to heal that hurt. So now you know what you're really working on. It's not really about the weight. It's about the hurt. And all those other things are just excuses to keep you from leaning into that hurt because, it hurts. Your mind doesn't want you to go into it and think about it. But that is the only way through your pain is the only way out of the pain is through the pain, is really leaning into it and getting really curious about it. A lot of times it's not necessarily true, whatever you're feeling, because your mind, again, makes up a lot of stories, rationalizes so much in our lives. If we don't start to question our thinking, it really creates the belief systems that create the experiences we're having. So I feel scared because, and then you just keep going. I feel unhappy, I'm sad, whatever you're feeling. You just need to understand yourself more and more. And then you'll discover, wow, that's actually not true. That's not accurate,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a simple exercise, but it keeps peeling things back. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
afraid because it's,
Yeah. Or I'm
and
triggered because it's usually fear-based, but I'm triggered because he didn't call me. I'm triggered because he only texted me once. I'm triggered because he might reject me. Oh, well, it's all about rejection. If he rejects me, I won't feel worthy. So then you can start to see, uh-oh, I'm starting to put so much emphasis on some outcome. I need to get back into my own lane and detach from all those outcomes and just trust whatever happens will be for my highest good.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back into that trust
Yep.
and that messaging within self of, okay, I trust that whatever's happening is for my highest and best good.
It's
And
really all about being your own best friend. You need to be your own best friend in life because no one's going to know you better than you. So get to know yourself because you're amazing, by the way. You're amazing. All of us are amazing. We all are unique in our own way. And the sooner you get to your uniqueness, the more you'll start to shine and feel so confident. Confidence comes from competence, not really about self-worth. You feel confident when you feel competent doing something, right? Like you get dating, you start to feel good. You like, you know how to what to say. And I keep using dating because it's a good example. But dating,
yeah,
relationships, you start to feel more competent because you know what to say, you know how to answer questions, you know how to set boundaries. You start to feel confident, and then so that's just really a great thing to just really put yourself out there. Everything in life's like a skill. You just have to skill up in every area and continue to grow and don't forget to be your own best friend in the process.
right. I love the messaging, Jackie. It's so, it can be easy, but feels so hard because of the, we can listen to all the voices that go on in our head that can say, oh, that's not,
Yeah.
that that are limitations, but those can be shifted. So, I mean, they can really be shifted easily if you continue to recommit to yourself
Yeah.
and your vision. And I think, you know, just knowing what it is you want and continuing to learn who you are is so key in this process. And I love how you keep going back to dating because it's so true with the mastery of dating. I've had clients that would resist dating, and then next thing you know, I'm like, well, wow, you could actually teach this class on how to date effectively because it worked really well. And then usually, once moving into relationship, there's a whole new set of emotional triggers, things that come through that, you build that mastery with relationship and learning through it.
Right.
I think,
Right.
I think as women, we can be kind of hard on ourselves. And
Absolutely. Yes. It's really critical and judgmental. And I think that's one of the biggest things that women need to watch for, and especially towards men, is criticism, because men are very sensitive about being criticized, and women are kind of, generally speaking, notorious for that. And so it's so important that because we're so critical of ourselves, and that's the lens we're looking through, so we have to learn to be more compassionate to ourselves and love ourselves. It's really coming down to that whole self-acceptance thing, and it's very hard for a lot of people because they don't feel worthy or lovable, so they don't feel that they don't accept themselves and their choices. And the most beautiful process you can ever go through is really learning to accept yourself 100%, no matter what. No matter if you display less than perfect behavior, you always accept yourself. Yeah.
yeah, and know that we, of course we fall down, and we're human. We can make mistakes, and then oftentimes we get to learn from our mistakes. And
Yeah. Then it's a lesson. When we learn from our mistakes, it's a lesson. And life is just filled with a series of lessons and self-help obstacles. And we just need to get good at overcoming those obstacles so that we can just like I said earlier, have a bigger life. Like we can play bigger. The obstacles sometimes can take us down, and we need to learn to get through them faster. And when we do love ourselves, and we don't waste a lot of time, when we do make mistakes and we learn from them, we don't beat ourselves up. Just move on. Go, okay, I won't do that again. Done. But don't give it all the storylines and talk about it and call your friends up and breathe more life into it. It's just like, that's how you learn. And I think, again, we just have to be more gentle with ourselves and more compassionate with ourselves. And when you're able to do that, you can actually be more compassionate with others. And you understand when people make mistakes around you, you're like, well, I'm sure that was hard for them. You're not taking it personal, and you know what they go through because you've gone through it too.
Sure. It's that, it's that ability, and learning that ability even to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Oh, what if, what if that were me? And, trying to see it through someone else's eyes. I feel like, you just shared that it's a huge opening, I think, for many watchers and listeners too, that if you can flip the script, then there's becomes this easier ability to have compassion for others and compassion for self. And I wanted to touch on something else that you shared, because I feel like this is so important, is the critical piece with, women will, get triggered, or, start to go down a path if he's not doing one thing, and then, get critical of, oh, that jerk, I can't believe he did that, or, whatever you're saying in your mind. It's even if you don't say it out loud, he feels the energy from you, and he feels that judgment. So there's this, it's that there's that invitation. If you've, ever been told, I don't know if I can ever make you happy, or, I want to make you happy. What do you need? And, having that, or even feeling inside that sense of there's just not
like a powerlessness.
Yeah. It's like that hopeless, just never fully being satisfied. Right.
Yeah. And I think that comes from a lack of clear boundaries with self. So I think that we have to learn that other people's feelings, needs, and wants are just that, other people's, and stop owning other people's feelings, needs, and wants. If some guy does something, you can observe it and go, oh, interesting. Now, don't have to take it personal. It's not about you unless you make it about you. Women make a lot of things about them when it doesn't have to be. They can say, hold a boundary and be like, yeah, that's fascinating. Good to know. Noted, but not owned. Like, I'm not going to carry that around. I didn't invite that. I didn't ask for it. He showed me who he was, and I'm grateful. Now I can move on instead of making a story. Again, I think our mind is so notorious for like the rationalizing, the storylines, and getting stuck there in all these conversations that are relevant to facts. So I think boundaries is a really, really important part about our self-worth, because if we don't have healthy boundaries, boundaries promote limits of integrity. If we don't know what boundaries are or have clear boundaries, then it's really hard for us to have that sense of, high self-worth and self-esteem, because you don't really know where you end and the other person begins. So there's a lot of overlapping and frustration and helplessness. Like, you can't control the situation. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself. And that's the first step in feeling more valuable, and self-worth is those boundaries. So important. Oops, I moved my feathers. So my thing is feathers, I had some sitting here, but I moved them. But I like using boundaries with a feather, though, not with a sledgehammer. We don't have to bark the boundary. We can just ask. And I think a lot of women walk around on eggshells because they feel like, oh, I don't want to get rejected. So it's all, this is a cyclical kind of conversation, all leads back to us needing to really recognize that we have a voice, we can use it, we deserve it, and we can walk our way. We can vote with our feet, and we don't have to take bad behavior as that we deserved it. That is just that person, and that's where they are, and it's not necessarily where you are.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's so important. And oftentimes, if the other person doesn't have boundaries, then they don't know how to respect yours or even, show up in that capacity. So it's rarely ever about you. And it's, really learning what works and what doesn't work. And I'm going to say it, dating can really help in learning, oh, this feels good, this doesn't feel good. And I get to say something and honor my self-worth. And, that's where, communicate. I love how you share the feather, communicating boundaries with a feather, which, I might call, feminine based communication or love based communication from that place of, it doesn't have to be harsh. And one more thing that comes through is I think when a woman starts setting boundaries sometimes and a man doesn't like it, she can feel like, oh no, I messed up, or he's not going to want to see me anymore. And truth be told, typically that's not it. But anytime you start setting boundaries, there can be a little pushback. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, because I think what happens is we start to feel a little self-conscious, like somebody noticed something, created a boundary, and it questions it. What happens? You start to question yourself and your behaviors. But boundaries really do create a lot of stability in relationships. And yeah, I mean, if you set the boundaries in the right way, at the right time, with the right person, with the right tone of voice, you'll be successful. But that's really hard, right? That's why you got to practice a lot. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing that you can learn about somebody, is how they respond to your drawing the line somewhere, and just observing their capacity to deal with that. It's all about getting more information from that person. And I just think that boundaries are so important, and we really need to invest learning about, like you said, how to set them. If I'm setting a boundary with my husband, we have an agreement, a boundary, that we don't talk about things at night. Like if we're watching TV, we don't start to go into this big discussion or making commitments or whatever, because we're tired. And if we have something we disagree about, we agree to talk about it the next day. Let's talk about this tomorrow, because it's dark. And I'm like, when it's dark, don't talk about those things. And it's light. So we have parameters around it, and boundaries, and it makes you feel safe. They create safety nets. And so it's so important to set those boundaries right up front. They do lead to respect, self-respect. Healthy boundaries equals healthy self-esteem. Weak boundaries, weak self-esteem. So it's just about, you've got to practice though. Sometimes it doesn't come out the right way. That's okay. You're doing the best you can. Try again. Take your voice down to a level 3 instead of an 8, so it's just like practicing.
Right. And it's not always about saying the perfect thing. It's about, like what you shared, it's like sharing it from a loving place in your heart. And when when you share from that style, typically you're going to get a more compassionate, understanding response.
Yeah. Like, for example, a woman would say to me, one of my clients would say, oh, I'm really liking this guy, but he loves to stay up late and I'm really tired during the day. And then what I would say is, oh, I'm just loving all this fun that we're having at night, but I need to get my beauty rest. So I'm not going to be answering the phone after 9 tonight. So we'll talk tomorrow. Have a good night. That's it. In a text. And then don't answer your phone. Keep your word. The next day, he knows now that's your bedtime. That's your boundary.
Right. Keep your word, have that integrity with yourself. And then that, that just builds on top of each other. It just continues to stack on.
That's authentic. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. And the right guy, I mean, will respect that. And the wrong guy won't. So he's out and the next guy's in. So just getting to just like, we've been talking about it's all self-worth building actions. It's about the little action steps that you take every day that really do add to how you feel, how deserving you feel on a regular basis.
Amen to that. Well, Thank you, Jacki. This has been awesome. And I know you have a complimentary gift for our watchers and listeners, which we are posting to in the chat. And you guys that signed up will definitely get access through email as well. So would you care to share a little bit?
So I actually have it right here. This is my 15 expert tips to get your online dating profile the attention it deserves. So this is the 5-page document, nicely illustrated for you. You can quickly download it. I find that a lot of women struggle with how to write their profile, so I'm just giving you the information right up front so you can be successful online and know your value and your worth. So just go ahead and grab that little checklist and get to work.
Yes, and get out there and date. Practice.
Yes, right.
Oh, this has been great. Well, thank you again. And I know that our watchers and listeners have really enjoyed this and have taken this in and are, you know, if you're watching, I know that you're committed to taking the steps in your life to, you know, breaking through and, you know, removing any blocks or limitations that are in the way for you creating the kind of connection success that you desire in love and life. So again, thank you everybody for being here. And Jackie, it was awesome. And we will see you all very soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.